All right, welcome back. We're going to talk a little bit about pre-deployment of a weapon. I have a few different types of weapons. I have the knife, club, the gun. These three types of weapons, obviously we sometimes call this an impact weapon, this is an edged weapon, this is a projectile weapon. So depending on what you're talking about, a lot of whatever you're dealing with in modern warfare, it falls into those categories for the most part, except for, somebody hitting you with a vehicle or something like that. But again, this covers the majority of the categories. So we're going to deal with that. We're going to talk today about pre-deployment, which I have to be honest, I had a lot of great martial arts training. I owe my Sifu Don Green from Wing Chun a lot because he basically raised me in the martial arts. Not just in the martial arts, but pretty much in life. So, but anyways, never in my experience with all other different martial arts systems that I go to different events and seminars and trade shows, until near my man did I see pre-deployment of a weapon. So I thought it was, and I'm going to say Krav Maga specifically, not just near, but the idea that you have to deal with a weapon before it comes into action. Most martial arts systems begin the defense with, guy has a gun at you, guy is attacking you with a knife. They deal with it, the weapon is already in motion or in action. And you get into security, law enforcement, military, and you start dealing with, I have to be aware of weapons before they ever come into play. When a police officer pulls you over, he doesn't want to wait till the weapon's in your hand and pointing at his head before he realizes you have a weapon in your vehicle. In same example, security, if you have people coming onto your base or your installation where you are, you don't want to find out when it's an active shooter situation that somebody has a weapon. So the same applies to hand-to-hand combat, and the sooner we can detect there's a potential weapon, the better. All right, so let me stand back a little bit here. From this side, you probably see the gun. All right, it's sticking out of my pocket. This is something that you probably would not see, depending on the state you live in. My brother lives in Arizona, where they're allowed to open carry weapons. So maybe in Arizona, but you wouldn't see it where I live in New York State. So also too, you can see a knife from here. But if I just move it like this, you can't see anything. Okay, so a fight, so if we're in a potential situation like this, right? Let's just pretend for a second there's no gun in play, right? But this is the knife. We're in this situation here already. With one quick movement, I could have the knife pulled and I could be swinging it at him. All right. So the time that you want, as if Joe is the defender, to pay attention to this is not once we get to the point where this is not. I mean, as good as that is to defend against a weapon, however you do it, universal shield, 360 block, whatever way you're going to defend against it, you don't want to wait till then. If you get the earlier the detection, the better. All right. So we're going to start with. We'll start with the knife first of all. So the bottom line is what we want to teach our Krav Maga students to do is pay attention to the hands all the time. It's something that's taught in law enforcement training programs, especially when you're interviewing a witness or a suspect. You want to basically always assume, you want to know where their hands are. They're talking to you and all of a sudden their hands go out of their pocket. You're like, as the officer, you're going to want to be like, hey, please pull your hands out of your pocket. Another thing you're going to want to be watching is spatial awareness. You want to be able to know, hey, am I far enough away? If I'm sitting here interviewing somebody who's crying because it's just a domestic situation, maybe I'll be a little closer. But I would say probably you want to always be far enough away that if this person turns from crying to, I just pulled the knife from out of the couch and I'm coming at the officer because I'm angry at him now, you want to be able to be ready for that. And if I'm sitting here taking notes right here, this is not enough distance, okay? So distance is an important component, and watching the hands. Those things, if you start paying attention to that, are going to improve your Krav Maga tremendously. So let's just talk about it with the knife. Specifically to a knife, you want to make sure that as soon as the knife comes into play and is moving, all in a knife, I had one instructor once tell me, friction and pressure. Those are the only two things you need that is going to cause a knife to cut. So if a knife is put up against you, there's pressure, and now he moves, there's friction, all right? So the very difficult part about knife defending is that at any point in time, you can continue to get cut. There's no freeze frame in real fighting, all right? So let's just assume I don't see a weapon here, but what I do see here, actually turn a little bit to the camera here. When he goes for the weapon, we're sitting here talking, all of a sudden, boom, I'm going to see this. I'm going to see this, what we call a break in silhouette. All right, silhouette targets, you think in law enforcement terms, it's just a man-shaped target, right? So a break in silhouette means that I can, and you can actually, we have a perfectly situated room for this. You can see the green behind, the light from behind him, all of a sudden makes it, the eye visible to that, oh my gosh, something just is moving. All right, so if I'm watching the hands, all of a sudden I see that, I'm going to immediately assume there's a weapon, I need to move into action. I don't sit there and wait. I have all these people asking, well, what about if it's a cell phone? What if he's grabbing his car keys? What if he just wants a pen to write something down with? The chances are you're going to have to take into account all of the verbal and nonverbal cues as you're dealing with a potential threat. All right? This is your buddy and he reaches in for his phone, you don't care. If this is a stranger and you're having a hostile encounter with him, that's a whole different story. All right? So I pretty much can say that most people aren't going to call their boyfriend or their girlfriend in the middle of a screaming match with you. Okay? So just give you an example. So he moves for the knife. I want to immediately, let me turn this way a little bit. I want to secure not just one hand, I want to secure two potentially. All right? Because it's very possible in the process I'm driving for him, he's going to deploy that weapon. And now, if I miss, I can at least pull the arm in, okay? With the knife, we want to try to secure the weapon arm. That is our priority. Our priority is not grab the knife. Go ahead. He goes to deploy. Boom. I'm going for the knife, and what just happened? I just lost a finger, all right? Because I'm going for something that's very fast and small and moving, all right? This knife, just to pull that knife out real quick. See how big that is? That's probably not going to be realistic of what you're going to have to deal with. All right, it's going to be much smaller. It's going to be not as visible. There you go, perfect. There's, that's totally black. It's about half the size. So I might not even realize what I'm dealing with, like you would in a training environment. All right, so I just see hand movement. I see body positioning and hand movement, and I know he's going for something. So he goes here. I'm going to immediately go here. Actually, let's turn around this way. So once I get both arms, one is up by the shoulder, one is down by the wrist. Okay, I have different Krav Maga instructors that have different variations on this principle. Some say grab, some say don't grab. All right, I'm going to leave it up to whatever you'd like to do. I prefer if I can grab. It is true, grabbing is more advanced of a concept than just pressure. Just pressing the hand up against the body is a little bit simpler. Okay. But either way, you want to try to secure and here, all right? Now from this position here, I need to immediately cause damage. Knee to the groin, carotid strike, okay? The whole time, I'm securing with these other two hands, okay? So I'm here, boom, kick, groin kick, carotid, right? From this position, he begins to move down. I can now go for here as a termination, or I can also take him down to the ground and spin him, and then he's on the ground and I continue to go deal on him. Or I can just keep damaging and hope that his hand moves far, far away from that. All right? So I have different options. All right? Again, the most important thing right now that we're dealing with is stopping him from getting any farther. If this is a deployed weapon, just put one of your hands in your pocket. I have no idea right now if this is a knife or a gun. So the scenario is the same for either. All right? Let's try it with a gun. Up to a certain point, the scenario is the same. All right, let's take one step forward. All right, so what I'm going to do is we're sitting here talking, all of a sudden I see hand motion, I'm driving in as fast as I can. The other thing you can do too is this arm here might be close enough to elbow, to the face, or the throat, right? Driving forward. As long as I cause pain, I'm keeping his brain occupied and he's not thinking about deploying that weapon. All right? So where it becomes different, knife versus gun, would be when that weapon gets pulled out, okay? With the gun, we're going to go faster into action to try to take that gun away. With the knife, we don't. We just hold on to the arm, and we continue to damage until we can get to one of our objectives, which is either a takedown, where we take them down in front of us and take the knife away, or we wouldn't do that with a gun. With a gun, he pulls, let's just say, let's switch sides again. So I see hand motion, I go for it, it pulls out, I end up catching him here instead of deployed, instead of pre-deployed, right? I continue to damage here. Now I'm not going to sit here and just keep damaging. This is still very dangerous. I'm going to reach here and take this gun as fast as I can. And now if I can move back and create distance, obviously the camera, we're limited how much distance we can create, but I would say 10 feet is a good size distance with a firearm, right? If you can get 10 feet away from the bad guy and you have the gun, you've eliminated the most dangerous part of the equation, okay? Knife, the same thing, but the problem with the knife is it's so dangerous to take the knife out of the guy's hand, with you potentially getting cut and killed, that we don't recommend it until the guy is literally almost totally incapacitated, all right? Let's talk about the club. Exactly, that's right. You've been out clubbing. So we actually tape the end of this. This is the wooden dowel. We tape the end of this. We use this in demonstrations to show that this is the most dangerous part that you don't want to get hit with. All right? If I swing, whether like a baseball bat swing or a single hand club swing, and you get caught here, 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 or even maybe here, it's not going to be as damaging as if you get hit with the end of the club. Somebody swings very fast and they hit you temple or legs, it's going to be very problematic very quickly. All right? So obviously, again, we don't want to wait until the club is here to go into action. The one advantage about the club over the knife or the gun is that you're probably going to see it, okay? Now, I understand that I'm being very over-generalistic. Let's say, hypothetically, that I have a very small piece of pipe, the size of a knife. That might be in my pocket, fully concealed. I would treat that the same way as I just did in the last example, okay? But now let's talk about baseball bat or long-sized club. When he's holding it down as his side, I automatically can see it. At whatever point you notice there's a weapon involved, you're moving into action. What I don't recommend you doing is jumping back, because he has the advantage with all this distance to continue to hurt you, to kill you. And you can't really deal with it. As much as you see this in the movies, where guys are throwing their arms up and blocking sticks, this is going to get your hand broken very quick. Your arm is going to be shattered, right? So what I want to do, same principle, is I want to secure. Now the one difference between this and the one we did last is you can use one hand to secure, and the other hand you can hit immediately. Why do we hit? People ask me in Krav Maga, man, your Krav Maga seems a little more violent than some of the other Krav Magas that are out there. Why is that? And what I like to say is, we want our Krav Maga to be as successful for the 4-foot tall person that's 90 pounds as we do for the 250-pound grown man, all right? So in order to do that, in order to equalize things, you need to cause damage. You need to do 3 things. Inflict pain or cause damage, you need to disbalance them, and you need to disrupt their thought process. How we do all those 3 things relates to hitting them, okay? If I just sit here and he's got this club and I just do this and I try to go into twisting his arm around, he's going to hurt me before I can hurt him. We don't want to do wrist locks at this point. We don't want to do funky, advanced martial arts techniques. We want to do simple. All right? What is simple that can be taught to a small child all the way up to a grown adult is soft targets. Eyes, nose, throat. Okay? So one hand is securing, the other hand is striking. All right? So I see him with a weapon, boom, I move into action, hit, bang! Then I move in. Okay? If the club comes out like this, I'm still going to do the same principle. I'm going to wrap in what we call a reference point. All right? We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but that's pretty much it. So that's basically the defense against the pre-deployment as you move into action as soon as you see a weapon. Thank you.